Welcome to Life in Calgary, Alberta. I'm your host, Patrick Murray. And today we're going to talk about the latest and greatest City of Calgary real estate statistics as of the end of January 2025. So we're going to have an inkling as to how the market's taken on for 2025 and a bit of an inkling as to where it may be going coming up this spring. But before we do that, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is about what it's like to eat, sleep, breathe, live, and play in Calgary, Alberta, then please just hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you get notified every single time I release a new video. Now, I've lived in several major centers in my adult life, but I settled in Calgary way back in 2001. And not only that, I've been a residential realtor here since 2010. And all of this means I have some specialized knowledge about the city of Calgary and the surrounding bedroom communities. So if you are considering a move to the city of Calgary or you're considering selling your home, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's talk about the latest and greatest City of Calgary real estate statistics right after this. All right, well, welcome, friends. Let's get into things right now and look at the prices as of the end of January 2025. This is very exciting to see where our market is going. Of course, there's a lot happening in the world right now. Tariffs are looming. We just came down with tariffs on steel and aluminum in our country as levied by the United States. So that could have an effect on, of course, the Canadian economy and perhaps our local economy as well. But it's interesting to see how Calgary has been weathering the storm because we are a unique market compared to the rest of the country. And so we are, when the Canadian data is represented, we find that our Calgary market is very different in the fact that we stand out. We're different, and we don't tend to march to the same drum as the rest of the country. That being said, when the rest of the country has been having some challenges with real estate, Calgary has been really thriving. So we've been really resilient, and that's because yes, we are an energy sector here, but we're much more than that. We have a lot going on in the tech industry, AI, that sort of thing. So exciting times. So I'm excited to see how Calgary is going to weather the upcoming storm here. But let's get into facts right now, and that's what's going on in the market right now. We're going to jump in and start talking about the city of Calgary detached market, and then we'll get into the other three sectors of the market. So first and foremost, so the benchmark price for the city of Calgary detached homes right now sits at $750,800. This is up 0.44% from the previous month, which was December, and year over year, we're up 7.03% from January of 2024. Now, I just want to make clear here, the reason why we're looking at January data is because we're still in February, so we don't have the end of February yet. So the latest data is as of the end of January. And if we can look at this little dial just up and above here, you see the listing absorption rate is 46.55%, and that's because we had 1,448 listings available for sale with 674 of them, or 46.55% of them being sold in January. So that, you see this little dial here, it indicates buyers, balance, and sellers market. And we're just into the balanced territory here overall. Sitting at 46.55%. Now, some sectors of the market are a little more competitive than others, depending on what part of the city or the price range. Overall, this is an overall picture of the Calgary market right now. And I do want to say that something of note is our prices overall in Calgary are quite stable. They've been stable for the last several months. We're not seeing any market corrections because we're not seeing any steep decreases in pricing. We're seeing what we call seasonal pricing happening, some seasonal softening. And that continues. I've been saying that all along, and that continues right now. So moving down here, you can see if we look at the benchmark price again, last January prices were sitting at $701,500 for this sector of the market, and we're up roughly $50,000 at $750,800. The black in this chart shows the months when prices are rising. The blue is a decrease in pricing. Again, just seasonal softening. We're not seeing any steep declines in pricing. In fact, from December to January, you're seeing a bump in the price here. If we look at, sorry guys, I jumped around a little too much there. There we are. If we look at the benchmark price trend from 2016 to 2025, if you had made a purchase in 2016, you would have made roughly 50%, 49.49% on your investment roughly. And you can see we had some times when the market was a little bit lower, a little bit higher, a couple of years when it went down, 2018, 2019, and then in 2020, things started to move up and has continued on. Now, looking at the actives and solds again, just reiterating um, that dial that we were talking about, the listing absorption rate, 1,448 active properties with 674 sold units. If we look at the actives, this amount of actives, the inventory is up 17.82% from December of 2024. But year to year, we're up 45.97% in the amount of actives from January 2024. Now, overall in the market, we're usually see where we have, over 4,000 units for sale total in the city of Calgary, and we're not at that. We're roughly 3,600 or so overall from all sectors of the market. So we are still not where we would normally have our inventory. So while we have seen increases, we're still below what we would term seasonal averages. If we look at the amount of solds month over month, up 9.95% from December 2024 in activity. Year over year, though, we're down 8.17% from January last year, which again was pretty record breaking. If we look at days on market here, we can see 37 days on market on average in January. In December, it was 42. In January last year, it was 34. So I think that's indicative of the amount of actives and solds that were happening compared to last year when market conditions were a little bit tighter and we're less tight in this sector now. And that's reflected in the days on market. And then we can look at the prices where most of these homes are being sold. So roughly 30% or 29.08 are in that $600,000 to $700,000 range. And then 20% is in that $700,000 to $800,000 range. Roughly 19% in that $500,000 to $600,000 range. And then that $800,000 to $900,000 range with 12.02%. And then that 1 to 1.5%, 1 to $1.5 million sector, sorry guys, is 7.86% of the market, and so on and so forth. So now we'll look at the City of Calgary semi-detached sector of the market, and we're going to look at this listing absorption rate sitting at 51.2 or 12%, 52.12%, just to reiterate, guys. And that's just barely into the seller market territory. So again, this is going to reflect differently depending on the community and the price range. This is an overall snapshot in Calgary. So in some areas, it'll be a seller's market. In other areas, it'll be balanced. Now, the benchmark price sitting at $673,600, which is slightly softer from last month when down roughly 0.59% from December. But year over year, the price is up 8.31%. You can see last year we were sitting at 621,900, and here we are sitting at 673,600 here in January. And you can see again, the blue is a pullback, and then the black is when the market is rising. And then again, the seasonal softening, but we're not seeing, these huge decreases. In fact, we saw an increase in December and then a little softening in January. So nothing exciting here in terms of what's happening at that pricing. If we look at the benchmark price trend, you see if you bought in 2016 and here you are today looking at your property, you would have made roughly 67.5% if you're following the benchmark price trend. So again, the blue is a pullback in price. You can see in 2018, 2019, 2020, a little bit of a pullback, and then kind of exploded from 2021 all the way to where we are right now. Now, let's look at this listing absorption rate a little more closely. 307 actives. Now, month over month, this is up 23.29% from last month, but year over year, it's up 40.18% from January of last year. And if we look at the amount of solds, 160 of them this month, month over month, this is up 29.03% from last month. Year over year, though, we're up 22.14% from January of 2024. Now, days on market, sitting at 36 days on market. Last January, 35 days. In December is 41 days. So I think we're holding fairly steady where we are right now. And if we look at where the most of these sales are coming in, that $500,000 to $600,000 range, followed by that $600,000 to $700,000 range, followed by that $400,000 to $500,000 range, then all the way to that $1 to $1.5 million range, followed by the $1 to $1 million range, and so on and so forth. All right, and getting into the City of Calgary row housing, this is townhouses. And let's jump into the listing absorption rate sitting at 41.94%. This is in balanced territory. And again, that's because we had 589 listings available, 247 of them, or 41.94% of them being sold in January. If we look at the benchmark price chart here, sitting at $444,900. Now, this amount is down slightly from December by 0.56%, but year over year, it's up 4.86% from January of 2024. You see in January 2024, we're sitting at 424,300. And, here we are over $20,000 more here in January. And again, the black showing the increases in price from month to month. And in the blue, again, just if you look at the numbers here, going down by point percentages, except in December, we dropped 1.52%. However, that's not a drastic drop. Again, this is seasonal softening that's happening here. And again, further reference from our drop from December to January, just 0.56%. So nothing exciting. We're still well above where we were last year. If we look at the benchmark price trend here, looking at 2016, if you bought 2016 and followed the benchmark price, today you would have made roughly 45% on your investment, 45.02%. And again, you can see some drops in prices from 2016 all the way through to 2020, and it took off from 2021 to 2024, just a little soft here in January so far. However, we'll see where this year takes us. Now, again, just to further look at that listing absorption rate, if we look at the amount of actives, there are 589 actives in January. Month over month, this is up 23.74% from last month, but year over year, the amount of actives, guys, look at this, up 129.18% from January of last year. That's how tight our market conditions were last year. Now, month over month, the amount of solds, 247 for this past month. Month over month, we're up 8.33% from December. Year over year, we're down 16.84%, even though we're up in supply, over like roughly 130%. So that's really saying something. Days on market sitting at 39. We're 40 in December. Last year we were 30 days on market. Again, very tight conditions. You can tell supply was very, very low, so it was very tight last year. So, that kind of explains why we're sitting at 39 right now, which is nothing too drastic. And let's look at the price distribution. Most of the sales coming in at $400,000 to $500,000 range, followed by that $300,000 to $400,000 range, followed by that $500,000 to $600,000 range, and then that $600,000 to $700,000 range. Guys, that's townhomes. All right, and now we're going to look at the City of Calgary apartment sector. Now, this is the sector where we are seeing some changes, especially in inventory right now, and we have more months supply here than we have in any of the other sectors, and we have more months supply here than and we had sorry, let me start again. We had a lot of months supply a few years back, where we had roughly 9 months of supply, and oversupply, prices are very soft. We're not at that yet, but we are seeing a lot more supply in this sector, especially in the higher priced condominiums, and that is what's kind of dragging the price down a little bit here. So the listing absorption rate sitting at 28.57%, just into buyer's territory. Honestly, depending where you're buying and the price range you're buying, you could be in a buyer's market, you could be in more like balanced territory. So there were 1,295 listings available for sale in January, with 370 of them, or 28.57% of those listings, being sold in January. If we look at the benchmark price here, sitting at $331,400. Month over month, this is down 0.3% from last month. But year over year, we're still up 5.31% from January 2024. You can see last year, prices were sitting at $314,700. So we're up, over $15,000, sitting at $331,400 now. And again, you can see this black showing prices rising all the way through to August. It's been quite the trend. through all the other product types too, and then kind of seeing some seasonal softening going down, although a couple months with a little bit steeper declines, again, just because we're seeing a little more supply in this sector of the market. But again, nothing unusual here, more a product of the amount of supply and the seasonal softening happening with prices. Now, if we look at the benchmark price trend chart, if you bought in 2016 and you followed the benchmark price, you would have gained roughly 20.7%. Now, keep in mind, this sector of the market was really hurting for a number of years. 2016 through 2020, prices were declining, declining from, over 6% from 2015 to 2016 and down 4% the following year, another almost 3%. Over 2% the following year and over 2% the next year, and then clawing our way back up, finally getting our head above the water in 2023, where we finally were above 2016 pricing, and then in 2024, another big spike in prices, another 11.3% gain. So it'll be interesting to see where 2025 takes us. Now, looking at the listing absorption rate a little more closely, because we're looking at those actives and sold listings, 1,295 actives month over month. That's up 25.12% from December. Year over year, though, we're up nearly 90% at 89.88% from January of last year. Now, the amount of solds month to month, we're up 3.64% from December, but year over year, we are down 24.18% from January of last year in the amount of sales. Okay, so that's how much this sector of the market has changed. And I can tell you, I was out with clients, last year, the previous year, and there were, especially early in the year, where we were in competing offer situations all the time. It was challenging to get your offer accepted, and it was really tough. And it sometimes took clients a few go-arounds to realize that they really had to put their money where their mouth is and put their money on the line to be able to win a bid. Now, some of those didn't always work out because maybe condo docs didn't come back proper and that sort of thing. But again, it was just very competitive time in the market. So we are seeing some relief, much more of a buyer's or a balanced market. Let's look at days on market. Okay, look at this. Wow, 51 days on market. Okay, now that's up 3 days from December. And you can see it's been trending up, from June, 23, 27, 32, 33, 35, 45, 48. Here we are at 51 days on market. Last January, just 35 days on market. So there's a lot of supply here in comparison to where we normally were, and definitely in balanced territory here for sure, even into that buyer's territory. So if you're thinking of buying a condominium, there's lots to look at out there. Now, let's look at where the most amount of sales were taking place. Most of them in that $200,000 to $300,000 range, and then that $300,000 to $400,000 range, followed by that $400,000 to $500,000 range. Now, keep in mind, we're looking at everything. We're looking at 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom units, that sort of thing. So that's where the market's at right now. Where are we going, guys? Buckle in. It's going to be an interesting ride, but there are opportunities in the market, whether you're a buyer or a seller. If you were a buyer and you were having a tough time in the market over the last few years and you're frustrated, guess what, guys? Now there's a sale on. In fact, in the wintertime is honestly the best time to buy, especially when it's cold. You know why? Because there's no competition. People aren't going out to look at houses. So now is high time to get out there to check out some properties if you're interested in getting into the market. And for sellers, guys, there's less competition right now. The spring market's coming. I know everyone says, oh, the spring market comes, that's when all the buyers hit. But guess what? That's when all the sellers hit the market as well. So if you're thinking of selling, now might be the time as well. It might be time for a conversation. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with you and we can go forward from there.
As I said earlier, if you are considering a move to the city of Calgary or you're considering selling your home, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you so you can live your life in Calgary, Alberta.